What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to open 3 envelopes and I'm going to see what we got. So let me jump right into this and go from there. Alright, this first one is from former Seattle Seahawk great Terry Beeson on 1. And he signed in pen, so it's kind of hard to see at the top there, but he did sign them. 2 on the duplicate there. 3. That one shows up a little bit better. And 4, he signed across the helmet there. So let me tell you a little bit about Terry Beeson, the former middle linebacker of the Seattle Seahawks. Beeson grew up in Kansas, where he also played his college football at the University of Kansas. He was drafted in the second round of the 1977 draft with pick 41 by the Seattle Seahawks. Immediately with the Seahawks, he became an instant player with the Seahawks, being part of their linebacking unit, and he spent from 1977 through 1981 with the Seahawks. Something of record is that he held the record for the most total tackles of 153 for the Seattle Seahawks until Bobby Wagner broke it in 2016. So this guy was a tackler, obviously, if he led the team in tackles in only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. He had the all-time record, which is kind of amazing. Well, after that, he played 1 season with the San Francisco 49ers, and after the season with the 49ers, he moved on to play in the USFL, which is now defunct, for the Oklahoma Outlaws and the Jacksonville Bulls. So Beeson had a pretty decent career, both in college, also as a pro. He also played for the USFL after his NFL days. But most recently, he was inducted into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2015. So, thank you very much, Mr. Beeson. Very happy to add those to my collection. If you guys remembered, I went through a lot of vintage cards in some of my pickup videos a little while back, and these are some of the cards that I pulled out of those boxes. So, thank you very much, and we'll move on to the next one. All right. Staying on the theme of 1970s football. This one's going to be a familiar name to a lot of you. This is former wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Frank Lewis on 1. 2. A 3rd duplicate there. And a 4th is a Buffalo Bill. So let me tell you a little bit about Frank Lewis, the other wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers championship teams. So Frank Lewis is a Louisiana native that attended Grambling State. So Frank Lewis was a Louisiana native that attended college at Grambling State University in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And out of Grambling State, he was drafted in the first round in 1971 by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He would spend the 1971 through 1977 season with the Steelers, acquiring 2 Super Bowl rings while with the team. And in August of 1978, the Steelers traded Lewis to the Bills in exchange for tight end Paul Seymour. Seymour was returned by the Steelers when he failed to pass their physical. Lewis, however, remained with the Bills, and the Steelers ended up receiving no compensation for the trade. That seems rather odd. You would think that the Steelers would have to pay pay cash or, not pay, but you'd think the Steelers would get something in return, but, a draft pick, anything. But that's what his Wikipedia page says. Well, this actually was a good thing for Lewis's career, because after being traded to the Bills, Lewis was a Pro Bowl selection in 1981 as a member of that team. In his pro career in total, he caught 397 passes for 6,724 yards and scored 40 touchdowns. In 2019, Lewis was elected to the 10th class of the Black College Football Hall of Fame. As a star player at Grambling State in the Southwestern Atlantic, or the SWAC, as I mentioned earlier, he helped the university win the conference championship in 1968. He scored 42 total touchdowns, both receiving and rushing, during his 4 years there before becoming the draft pick of the Steelers. So another forgotten star from the 1970s that was on some very successful Pittsburgh Steelers teams. I want to thank Mr. Frank Lewis for signing these cards for me, because I'd never gotten these before. And again, this was out of the batch of vintage 70s autographs, vintage 70s cards that I picked up. So moving on to the next one. All right, keeping the theme alive, we have another 1970s football star in the name of former Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Sammy White on one, a second one in purple, and the inscribed Rookie of the Year on both of these. And he inscribed the second one in purple. And it appears that he went out of his way on this one and found a purple ink pen to sign the 4-player card, with Chuck Foreman, Bobby Bryant, and Carl Eller also on there. So let me tell you a little bit about Sammy White. So this is very coincidental that White, also a Louisiana native, and he also was a wide receiver at Grambling State University. So I had no idea by opening this mail that I would get both Frank Lewis and Sammy White in the same video. It's too bad that I didn't write a third Grambling State University product. Otherwise, I could have made this a theme video like I normally do with guys that I find that have things in common. After attending Grambling State University, White played all 10 of his pro career seasons with the Minnesota Vikings as a wide receiver, winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year and the UPI NFL NFC Rookie of the Year awards in 1976. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler in his rookie season and also in 1977. In 128 career games, he totaled 393 receptions, 6,400 yards, and 50 touchdowns for his career. That doesn't summarize Sammy the best. I mean, one of the things that he's also been known for, he was a 3-time All-Pro, even though I just said 2-time, didn't I? Okay. So here's one of those examples with Wikipedia. So I'm going to show this to you on my phone right here. So right there, it says that he was a 3-time All-Pro selection, 76, 77, 78. So I scroll down, and right there in the text it says he was a 2-time Pro Bowler. So which is it? Well, other than me blurring up the camera there. So I don't know. That just goes to prove you can't always believe what you read on Wikipedia. He's a Pro Bowler, but I don't know how many years. So we'll go with 3, since that's what it says at the top here. But one of the other things that is notable about Mr. White is he is one of the 50 greatest Vikings of all time. I'm not going to talk too much about this, but many of you old school football fans do remember, this was before I was around, the notarized hit that Jack Tatum put on Sammy White in the Super Bowl in 1977. That was when Jack Tatum hit Mr. White and his helmet completely flew off. And if I can find a picture of that, I'll post it right here so you can see it. That is something that unfortunately Sammy White was the receiver on, both whether it's the position or the person that took the hit, that he's known for in his career. So not that downplay his performance. He was a great wide receiver from that era. There are a lot of great wide receivers from that era. But that hit from Jack Tatum, a lot of people remember more than anything about Sammy White. So I want to thank you for joining me for another episode. I want to thank Mr. Lewis for signing, and of course Mr. Beeson as well. These are some great old school football autographs from the 70s. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to your comments below.